She was the voice that defined our childhoods. But what if I told you Julie Andrews has been holding on to a secret for decades? At 89, she's finally breaking her silence. And what she reveals will completely change the way you see her story. From Hollywood highs to a heartbreaking transformation no one saw coming. You won't believe how it all unfolds. Stick around, because what Julie just confirmed isn't just personal, it rewrites her entire legacy. Born as Julia Elizabeth Wells on October 1, 1935, she came into a world already soaked in music. Her mother, Barbara, had once dreamed of making it on stage as a pianist. Her father, Edward, was a school teacher. But when the war came, their family didn't survive the strain. Barbara married again, this time to a vaudeville performer, Ted Andrews. And that decision would change the course of Julie's life in ways no one could have predicted. Ted and Barbara toured military camps, performing for soldiers, and Julie was pulled into the world of theater like it was her destiny. By age 14, she uncovered a family secret that would have shattered many. The man who had raised her, Edward Wells, was not her biological father. Her mother had been involved with a close family friend, and he was the one who'd passed along Julie's remarkable musical genes. Yet even after learning the truth, she stayed deeply devoted to Edward Wells. It was loyalty beyond blood, and it defined her character. Ted, though, took on the role of mentor. He noticed something rare in Julie: perfect pitch, control beyond her years, a voice that could stop time. He shaped her early training, but the real transformation began when she started studying under Madame Lillian Stiles Allen, a formidable concert soprano who believed Julie was destined for greatness. Stiles Allen didn't go easy on her. She drilled her on every breath, every vowel. The amateur practices until he gets it right. The professional until he can't get it wrong. Julie lived by that. At just 8 years old, she began formal lessons, traveling alone from London to Leeds, often sleeping in bitter cold rooms by dim gaslight, just to study under Stiles Allen. They drank ginger beer in the evenings and traded stories about legendary musicians. It was hard, it was lonely, but Julie thrived in it. She stayed under her teacher's wing until 1954, when she crossed the ocean to chase something bigger. And even before that, at age 12, Julie had her breakout moment. On October 22, 1947, she stepped onto the London Hippodrome stage for the musical revue Starlight Roof. She sang Jesuit Titania from the opera Minon, and the crowd froze. She wasn't just good, she was mesmerizing. They rose to their feet. The next year she was performing for King George VI and Queen Elizabeth at the Royal Variety Performance. At just 13, she made history as the youngest solo act to appear at the event. It wasn't all rehearsed, though. One night, while sharing the stage with American comedian Wally Bogg, who was famous for his balloon animals, Julie unexpectedly broke into song during his act. It was spontaneous. The crowd loved it. That unscripted moment showed a side of her that couldn't be taught: her natural, magnetic charm. She kept rising. Roles in West End productions followed: Aladdin, Humpty Dumpty, and most memorably, Cinderella. With every role, she proved she wasn't just a singer, she was a full performer, and television took notice. Julie became a staple on BBC programs like Up the Pole and Educating Archie, where she developed comic timing and on-screen instincts that would serve her well for years to come. By 19, she was on Broadway. On September 30, 1954, she debuted in The Boyfriend, and the city lit up. Her voice was light but commanding, her presence impossible to ignore. Critics hailed her, and she received the Theatre World Award. But what came next would cement her status. Producers of My Fair Lady were desperate to find someone who could play Eliza Doolittle, not just sing the songs, but live the emotional transformation. Julie landed the part. When the show opened on March 15, 1956, She stunned audiences night after night, morphing from scrappy flower girl to refined socialite. Her performances of "I Could Have Danced All Night" and "Wouldn't It Be Loverly" became instant classics. She was nominated for her first Tony Award. But behind the applause was a twist that still stings. When it came time to make the film version of My Fair Lady, she was passed over. The part went to Audrey Hepburn. While Hepburn's singing was dubbed, Andrews had proven herself capable, but Hollywood wanted a movie star. It could have ended there, but sometimes fate has better plans. In 1960, she starred as Queen Guinevere in Camelot, opposite Richard Burton and Robert Goulet. It was romantic, tragic, regal. Her performance earned her another Tony nomination. Then tragedy hit the nation. When President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in 1963, his widow referenced Camelot, linking its themes of lost idealism with his legacy. Suddenly, Julie's performance took on new meaning, forever intertwined with American history. Yet she wasn't confined to the stage. In 1957, she stepped into millions of homes in Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, a live TV musical crafted just for her. Over 107 million people tuned in. Her warmth, her voice, her grace, it captivated a nation. She earned an Emmy nomination, and producers across the industry took notice. Then came Disney. Walt himself had searched far and wide for someone to play Mary Poppins. He wanted wit, charisma, and an unforgettable voice. Julie had all three. The film premiered in 1964 and soared, grossing $31 million. She won the Academy Award for Best Actress, beating out Audrey Hepburn, the very actress who had once replaced her. In that moment, Julie's quiet victory echoed across Hollywood. But the peak was still ahead. The Sound of Music hit theaters in 1965 and shattered expectations. Her portrayal of Maria was full of strength, joy, and vulnerability. The movie earned $286 million globally and became a cultural phenomenon. Julie wasn't just a singer anymore. She was a symbol of resilience, of warmth, of timeless talent. And yet, even as the world applauded, something was changing. Behind the curtain, Julie was holding on to a secret that would soon shake her world and silence the very voice that had defined a generation. She looked like she was dancing on air, arms outstretched, spinning on that grassy hilltop as if weightless. But the truth behind that iconic mountaintop scene was anything but graceful. With a helicopter circling above to capture the breathtaking shot, the sheer wind force from its blades repeatedly knocked her down over and over. Julie Andrews later laughed about it, saying she was practically embedded into the grass by the end of each take. That scene, though visually enchanting, demanded grit, and it paid off. The Sound of Music swept 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, cementing Andrews as one of the brightest stars in Hollywood's galaxy. Yet behind that success, a quiet pressure mounted. She had now played 2 iconic caretaking roles back-to-back, Mary Poppins and Maria von Trapp, and people started whispering, was she destined to be trapped in the sweet nanny box forever? Refusing to be cornered by typecasting, she pivoted. Later that same year, 1964, she took a bold leap with the Americanization of Emily, starring opposite James Garner. Set against the turbulent backdrop of World War II, the story wasn't lighthearted or whimsical. It was sharp, even biting, examining war and loss through the eyes of Emily Barham, a British widow clashing and connecting with an American naval officer. This was Andrews stepping out of the nursery and into the fog of war, and audiences took notice. Just 2 years later, she teamed up with none other than Paul Newman in Alfred Hitchcock's Torn Curtain, a tense, Cold War thriller. Universal Studios demanded marquee names to guarantee ticket sales, but Hitchcock wasn't thrilled. He reportedly felt Andrews and Newman were too polished, too pristine for his gritty espionage vision. The result? A film that divided critics, yet triumphed financially, grossing $13 million on a $3 million budget. Still, whispers continued. Was she a perfect match for the darkness Hollywood now craved? Then came Hawaii, a sweeping historical epic based on James Michener's novel. It had everything: drama, stakes, and the highest budget in Hollywood history at the time, $15 million. The shoot was brutal. Rains lashed the sets, tidal wave warnings paused production, and exhaustion set in. Yet Andrews pressed forward, playing Jerusha Hale, a woman navigating love and colonial tensions in 19th-century Hawaii. Audiences responded, making it the top-grossing film of the year with over $34 million at the domestic box office. And in a twist nobody saw coming, it wasn't Andrews, but a first-time actress, Jocelyn Lagarde, who captured much of the spotlight, winning a Golden Globe for her portrayal of a Hawaiian queen, having never acted before. By now, Julie Andrews was more than famous. She was a living legend. But by the late 60s, the magic seemed to flicker. Her next film, Star, released in 1968, was a lavish biopic of stage actress Gertrude Lawrence. Directed by Robert Wise, the same man behind The Sound of Music, and armed with a $14 million budget, all the ingredients were there. But something didn't click. Critics said her performance felt exaggerated, too theatrical. The dream project turned into one of Hollywood's costliest missteps. And it wouldn't be her last. Then came Darling Lily in 1970, directed by her husband, Blake Edwards. What was supposed to be a reinvention spiraled into chaos. Endless reshoots ballooned the budget to a staggering $25 million. Andrews tried to shatter her pristine image, delivering lines with unexpected boldness, even performing a scene meant to shock longtime fans. But audiences didn't embrace this new version of her. The film tanked. And just like that, the once unshakable star was suddenly on uncertain ground. Still, awards recognition lingered. Both Star and Darling Lily earned her Golden Globe nominations, a testament to her undeniable talent. But the truth was hard to ignore. Hollywood was changing. If Andrews wanted to remain relevant, she had to evolve again. In 1972, she turned to a surprising new stage: television. The Julie Andrews Hour launched with high hopes and a 5-year contract from ABC. It was a dazzling mix of music, comedy, and charm, showcasing every side of her talent. Critics were enchanted, but viewers, not so much. Airing on a tough night with stiff competition, the show struggled. After just one season, it was canceled. And yet, in a twist no one saw coming, the show swept the Emmys just a month later. 7 wins out of 10 nominations, including Outstanding Variety Musical Series. The celebration came too late. The curtains had already closed. ABC offered 5 more specials over the next few years, but Andrews saw the writing on the wall. She needed a new stage, literally. She turned to nightclubs. For someone once associated with Disney and wholesome musicals, it was an unexpected detour. But that was the point. She wanted to break free. In smoky venues filled with jazz and wit, she transformed. Gone was the governess. In her place stood a sultry, smart performer with sharp comedic timing and surprising depth. She joked, she sang jazz standards, and she laughed at her past, all while captivating a very different kind of crowd. Then, like a phoenix, she soared again. In 1979, she starred in 10, a romantic comedy that exploded at the box office, raking in over $74 million. Her momentum returned. She followed it with S.O.B. in 1981, where she delivered a jaw-dropping performance that left audiences stunned. It was raw, brave, and a direct challenge to her own legacy. But the game changer came in 1982 with Victoria. Here, she was unrecognizable, playing a woman pretending to be a man impersonating a woman. It was bold, ahead of its time, and refreshingly complex. The film earned $28 million, a Golden Globe, and another Academy Award nomination. More importantly, it redefined her. Suddenly, she wasn't just Maria or Mary. She was Julie, layered, fierce, and fearlessly versatile. Behind that graceful voice and polished poise was a woman constantly fighting to be more than what Hollywood expected. And while the world applauded her career, her private life told a story of its own, of deep love, heartbreak, and resilience. She married Tony Walton in 1959. Their union was born from admiration and artistry, with Walton designing sets and costumes for her most iconic films. Their daughter Emma arrived in 1962. But as fame consumed her schedule, the miles between them widened. By 1967, their marriage ended. The toll was personal. Emotionally drained, she sought therapy. Director Mike Nichols encouraged her to face the emotional clutter, and she listened. It wasn't just healing, it was transformation. Julie Andrews was evolving again, and the world would soon see a different kind of star. One shaped not just by applause, but by perseverance. She had once lit up the world with her voice, pure, powerful, unforgettable. But in an instant, Julie Andrews' greatest gift was taken from her. What followed was not just a physical loss, but an emotional unraveling few could see. Still, from this heartbreak, she rebuilt her identity. No longer the woman simply known for her soprano range, she evolved into a creative force far beyond the stage. What if your entire career vanished in a single moment? For Julie, the answer came with grace, reinvention, and an unbreakable spirit. Her journey through silence began with pain but shifted into purpose. While the stage went quiet, her presence only grew louder. She turned to children's books, teaming up with her daughter to co-author stories filled with imagination and warmth. Each page written was a defiant act, a whisper that said, "I'm still here." And audiences heard her. Her voice echoed in a new form, one of mentorship, authorship, and unwavering resilience. The world didn't forget her voice because she never let them forget her heart. And her love story? It wasn't just something out of a fairy tale. It was the fairy tale. After the collapse of her first marriage, Julie met director Blake Edwards outside a therapist's office. A strange twist of fate? Or exactly the kind of moment that only happens in the movies? Two people carrying their own baggage, finding solace in one another. Despite their 13-year age gap, their connection was real and electric. They married in 1969 and spent 41 years side by side. Through box office failures like Darling Lily and triumphs like Victor, Victoria, they were each other's anchor. "His humor grounded me," she once said. "He gave me balance." Their family expanded in the most unexpected way. Together they adopted 2 daughters from Vietnam, adding to their blended family. It was a decision that reflected Andrews' deep empathy and global awareness. She didn't just live in Hollywood, she expanded beyond it. But tragedy was never too far. When Edwards passed away in 2010, she didn't crumble. She called their marriage a true love story, refusing to let grief mute the gratitude. Her professional pivot in the 80s and 90s painted a fuller portrait of who she was. Gone were the frilly gowns and dancing chimney sweeps. In their place came raw vulnerability. In That's Life, she portrayed a singer grappling with her mortality, mirroring her real-life vocal health scare. In Duet for One, she stepped into the world of a violinist battling a life-changing illness, with Liam Neeson adding intensity to every scene. Both performances earned her Golden Globe nods. She wasn't just the musical darling anymore. She had depth, grit, and undeniable dramatic weight. Television became her next frontier. While her 1992 sitcom Julie didn't last beyond 7 episodes, her Christmas special earned multiple Emmys. What do you do when the music stops? If you're Julie Andrews, you rewrite the melody. And somehow, it's even more powerful. Her story reminds us, the voice may fade, but the legacy never will. If this touched you, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more untold Hollywood stories.